Hello, this is Ray Massey again with the University of Missouri, and I'm going to talk with you one more time about general farm liability insurance. I earlier talked with you about who does it cover, and it covers the farmer's wealth and business. Today I want to talk about what does it cover. First thing, everybody's concerned that their insurance is not going to cover what they want it to cover, and so let's get over what it is definitely not going to cover. It's not going to cover illegal activities. So if you happen to be selling a plant that is not legal to be sold, it's not going to protect you there. It's not going to protect against fraud. So if you represent your plants or your produce as being organic when it's not, and somebody comes back and sues, it will not protect you for that. Also, it will not protect you for intentional damage where you purposefully hurt somebody. Let's think about what it does protect. So here's a row crop farm. We think about general farm liability insurance. It is covered that. So if something happens on this farm or as a result of growing these soybeans, you're covered. But what about this? We've got urban agriculture, a garden in the middle of town, different people doing it. Is that covered? That's kind of a question that still is not answered. Here's another one. Harvesting wheat with a machine that can be very dangerous. You can get hurt on a combine. Will the general farm liability insurance cover it? Yes, it is covered. But what about this? You have a U-pick farm and you bring people out in a wagon. What happens if he falls off the wagon? Somebody hurts themselves. Is that covered? Well, that's still a question as to whether or not that's covered under a general farm liability insurance. You sell your cattle in an auction ring, they're going to be covered. You sell your vegetables to the person across the street, that may or may not be covered. So the question really is, what is covered under your general farm liability insurance? And there are some farming activities that are excluded in a general farm liability insurance policy. They are considering most farming to be traditional, row crop farming. So you would need endorsements to be covered for particular activities. Some common endorsements are farmers market sales or truck garden sales. So if you are doing either of those, and 5 years ago you started farming, but you were just farming traditionally, and now you've started selling in the farmers market, don't assume that the insurance that you bought several years ago will cover you for the sales that you are doing now via a farmer's market. If you have a U-pick farm, agritourism, horseback riding, all of those things typically are not covered in a general farm liability insurance policy. They can be easily added as an endorsement, but what it requires is that you actually talk to your insurance agent and let them know what you are doing as a normal business activity. So one of the other questions, though, about what does it cover is whose activities does your policy cover? So, of course, it's going to cover you because you're the business owner. But does it cover your employees and what they may do? So if an employee does something while working for you that causes damage to somebody else, is that going to be covered under your general farm liability insurance? Or even your family members? So the question here is, how does the policy define the insured? And covering employees or family members requires that you mention on the application that you have employees. So again, it's that same situation. You bought the policy several years ago. You were a traditional row crop farmer, or you didn't have a lot of activity. Now you need an employee. You have not told them that you've got an employee. That employee's actions may not be covered. So you need to be careful about that. So in summary, what you need to do is to discuss all of your farming activities with your insurance agent. Just let them know, these are the things that I do on a regular basis, and actually these are some things I just occasionally do. If you don't see an activity included in the insurance policy, the multiple pages that put you to sleep, send your agent an email saying you assume the activity will be covered. Ask the agent to communicate with you if you are wrong, and then save all those communications, because your interest is making sure that the insurance you buy is covering the work that you do.